Here in Oakland, you guys are talking across gender, across geography. That's what other community members need to start recognizing. The importance of not just passing stuff, but building relationships across everything that's going across persuasion. And I might be redundant with what I'm saying, but it's important to say these talking points that you guys can take back to the community. The third one I wanted to bring was, it gives police too much discretion to harass our people. Because now they see somebody with, how many people have seen young brothers with white shirts? I see in the city a lot. You know, they might be having baggy pants, and I don't mind, I agree with that stuff, but nonetheless, I'm not going to judge them or look down upon them or harass them in subliminally because of what they're doing. But nonetheless, I'm going to go and more likely speak to them. I'm not in a rush, which I normally do, regardless of race. But police won't do that. Police got a job, and their job description means you got a quota to fill. Their quota is they have to have a certain amount of pullovers, arrests, every day, regardless of what's going on, regardless there's no crime. Because if not, then they're not doing nothing, which they normally don't do. So, I mean, it's a reality. They're good at harassing people, you know. And every now and then you got a couple good faith police officers that they're trying to pay the bills. But you won't hear me saying that in a news conference, because the reality is that most police officers, and if we know the history of policing, it's pretty scary.
That's right.
But we don't know the history because we've been blinded by misinformation, misconceptions, instilled in textbooks, instilled in the media, instilled in some churches that propagate the need for policing. And we do need policing at the moment, but we need more of a community presence.
There you go. That's right.
Because if we leave it to the hands of the descendants of slave masters, we're going to continue to run into slavery at its worst. Another thing is that it imposes probation-like restrictions on people who've never had a day in court. So people, I've been to court, and some of us might have been, but those that haven't, but just may happen to be with me, and a police officer recognized me in San Francisco, and all of a sudden it's happened to me before. I might be just talking to someone when the cop that either arrested me, all of a sudden wants to just figure out if two guys look good. I got my keffiyeh on, and you know, that's a way for them to harass me, and I know it's coming. And if that person happens to have a gun, which I've run across, because when I come across some of the youth, I give them a powerful hug. I feel the peace right there. And I usually try to tell them that's going to probably hurt another person of color. But nonetheless, I'm not going to, then when the police comes to ask us for IDs and then follow up, more likely if they strap, they're going to go in. And maybe they actually have the right to bear arms. But the fact is, because they've been criminalized and they want to protect themselves from the violence that's going on, there's many people I know who don't want to carry guns, but they feel they have no choice. And I'm not at all trying to condone violence, but it's the reality that we face in the streets. When I had a young youth come about 2 years ago into my office when I was in college, told me, I have to strap, and I don't want to, crying. I did time with him in prison. But 2 weeks later, they killed him. And what I had told him, I'm not sure what had happened, was like, you have to get rid of that gun, home. You have to, because you're going to eventually use it. But he's saying, I don't know what else to do. And sometimes we're not that close to that because we're so caught up in college with our families. And we forget about the people out there who need our help. But we need to sometimes think outside the box and be able to think creatively, innovatively, how to help people that have these problems. Because you're not going to call the police and say, hey, I just came across an individual that just got a gun. That's not my MO.
Right.
But I mean, I would like to be able to call someone and say, or do something to say, that's not right. You know, let's get rid of that, because you're going to more, the statistics have shown, people that have guns are usually done with interracially. So black kill black, brown kill brown, Pacific Islander API kill API, white kill white. And it's a sad reality, a sad truth that's happening. But like I've learned, like I like to tell many people, there's always two things, right? The reality and the truth. The reality is that there's a lot of violence in our community. Our communities are suffering. The truth is the people in power want that to happen because They can influence politics, influence elections in election year, right? And be able to get what they want. So I don't want to do a little bit more. There's going to be we started about 2 weeks ago, some of our members and other community members, or the community organization started a group to figure out how to strategically plan against the gang injustice. And there was actual meeting when the first meeting, February 9th, that many of us attending, including Brother Keith, Brother Wilson. We went to go speak against the gang injustice, and I think we did a great job, you know. But that was just the beginning. That was just scraping the surface. We need to start talking. We need to start walking in this, especially North Oakland. And the sad part about it is that once the gang injustice, if it's put in 1% of Oakland, if it's passed, it's easier for them to spread it out everywhere, like a disease, right? If you don't treat a disease, like with antibiotics, if you don't attack the root cause of it, then it's going to continue to go everywhere. And next thing you know, Oakland will be gentrified, and it will be safer. But you won't see many people of color here. Look at Fillmore. They're trying to do that in Hunters Point. But it's not going to be easy because we got brothers on the ground in Hunters Point testifying at City Hall. You know, when they call it all over, when Power, when the Nation of Islam in San Francisco, when all these community groups come out together, Coleman's Advocate, we say we got to show up. I might have a meeting, but I know that we have to show solidarity, not just in spirit, but physical solidarity, which is very important. And that's why sometimes I'm remiss when I can't come to these meetings, because I'm a family man. And there's, of course, millions of excuses. But I would like to be at every meeting. And many of us would like to be able to be everywhere, but we're not. So we got to start talking to people, and it's going to happen. I was in a meeting yesterday in Richmond. It was about 5 of us at the meeting. It eventually ended up like 7. And you know, you could be demoralized when you have been putting all these propaganda or stuff to get people to come to stuff, and there's so many seats that are. But you realize if you get 5 people, that's 5 people that weren't there before.
That's right.
That's 5 people that can change stuff, because next thing you know, their loved ones start to hear. Now my wife is very politicized. My cousin's wife, I heard her yesterday speaking about a year ago. She didn't want anything to do with politics. She was leading one of the small circle discussions. And I thought, damn, wow. But you know, sometimes we don't know what we do.
Right.
But when you do something from the heart, and because it's fundamentally correct, it's morally correct, it'll work eventually. We might not see the fruition of our work. I might not see this imperialist country's empire be defeated to what it's doing to the rest of the world, to doing to its own. However, I'm going to do what I can and to make sure that I plant enough seeds to help people. Finally, and I wanted to just touch on something that caught my attention yesterday. I live in the Excelsior District, and for those that know San Francisco, the Excelsior District it's hard to find parking. I don't want to say have no parking. It's very hard. So I was looking for about 25 minutes. And I wanted to park it just anywhere, but I knew I was going to get a citation. I'm like, I don't want to keep paying these people salaries, you know, so I decided to keep looking. Well, I counted, and there was about 4 different people within a small radius of the block that had boots in their car.
Right.
Right, so I mean, as a person that just don't look at that and say, well, that doesn't affect me, I had to think about it for a moment. I kept walking, I got home, and I started to woke up my babe. She's right now currently pregnant. I go to her. Oh, I didn't wake her up, and I go, babe, someone's trying to address the problem of parking by either going to city administration or going to saying that we need to start getting rid of some cars. So it's not coincidental. I've never seen in a small 2-block radius 4 people with their boots, with their car booted. So it's important. This is all problems that sometimes we like to say, that doesn't pertain to me. In fact, that's not my thing. He should have paid his tickets. But some people can't afford to pay tickets because they got to decide to either pay the bills, or feed babies, pay rent. And you know, it's important for us to start looking at it holistically, because everything is inextricably interrelated.
That's it.
Thank you.
All right.